St. Paul says, for freedom, Christ has set you free. We hear a lot about freedom from our politicians, but what is it that we desire when we speak of freedom? Or what do we fear losing because of a lack of freedom? When Paul says, for freedom Christ set us free, he meant freedom from anything that might limit or prevent us from following Christ. Today's reading from the Gospel, Luke tells us the pivotal point. Jesus was now heading towards Jerusalem. This would be his final trip there. The time was fulfilled when Jesus would be taken up. As Jesus began his ascent to Jerusalem, a key question arose. Who would go with him, and what would it cost? On their journey there, they encountered a Samaritan town that refused them hospitality because they were going to Jerusalem. Luke described how the apostles wanted to call down fire on that village. Jesus simply indicated, why not just go to another village? Then someone approaches Jesus who seemed to envision discipleship as a great adventure. And Jesus warned him that traveling with him was like signing a blank check and traveling with no cash or credit cards. There were no guarantees of security or comfort, only a mysterious, overabundant reward to those who leave all behind. Jesus then called someone to join him. He promised to come along as soon as he took care of his family obligations. Someone else was called, and he said, well, let me go home first and say goodbye. Now, Jesus is not anti-family here, but he's making a point that there can't be any vacillation if we're going to be a disciple of Jesus. Looking back can create a divided heart because we're constantly looking at what we're leaving. Jesus said the disciple always looks ahead for new opportunities, and we don't mourn the ones that have left behind. A wobbly commitment will grow less capable of handling the rigors of discipleship. Underneath these stories, we hear the strain of Paul's understanding of freedom. The call to discipleship is always an invitation to freedom, to be open, to become all that God has created us to be, even though it's often beyond our imagination. Luke is driving home the idea that the vocation of discipleship will draw us beyond reasonable expectations, even to our wildest dreams. The road Jesus describes has no dens, no nests, no rest stops along the highway. If we continue along the road with the disciples, we will learn the difficult truth that following Jesus does not mean we will have all the answers or we will always be confident. Only that we will be invited to seek and act on God's will, to give love, to give forgiveness, to receive love, and to receive forgiveness. Whether we are taking a blind risk or giving informed consent, we are called to freedom, invited into an unknown that is full of promise. Today, Jesus, Paul, and Alicia are asking us what we would do with tomorrow, with the coming week, the coming year, if we really believe that for freedom, Christ has set us free. Are we like the village folk who turned Jesus away because he threatened their traditions and their stability? Or are we like those disciples who wanted to call down fire on those villagers? Have we settled for a lukewarm commitment to the gospel? Or are we able to let go and to move on to the next village, the next challenge, the next opportunity without looking back with recriminations? Remember, for freedom, Christ has set us free.